All right, welcome back to another one of our film reviews. Today we are talking Kansas City Chiefs rookie defensive lineman Ashton Gillotti. Gillotti is a Swiss Army knife, a versatile player who does a lot of different things. Doesn't play a whole lot, but he makes a big impact. Sometimes not on the stat sheet, but a key part of this Chiefs defense, and he should get more playing time going forward. We'll break down everything he did in the Chiefs' most recent victory. As always, in the comment section below, give us any feedback you might have. If you're a fan of these film reviews and want to help support us so we can do more of them, consider becoming a member. There's a link in the description box below. But without further ado, let's jump right into the film. All right, let's get started with some one-on-one pass rush, and there's Gelotti right there on the right side of your screen. So what we're going to get here from the Lions is pretty standard protection. So the play side, which is these three guys on this particular play, they're all going to take the gap to their left. So left tackle is going to take this gap, the left guard's going to take this gap, and the center's going to take this gap. And then we're going to get man-on-man on the backside. Right guard man-on-man, right tackle man-on-man. Pretty standard, basic stuff. How this works out, because there's a 2-eye technique here from the Kansas City Chiefs, we call him a 2-eye because he's on the inside eye of that guard, is that it's basically a double team. The center's going to take over the defensive tackle while this guard has his eyes in this gap. He's going to be heavy hand inside right here. What that means is it's basically one-on-one right here, the tackle on Gelotti, and the rookie does a great job beating him around the edge. It's a quick throw, so the quarterback gets rid of the football, but it's a nice rep from 97. Let's check it out. There's a snap. Pressure, quick throw. Little hook and ladder. Tell you what, the Lions are pretty tricky. Decent little gain. But let's look all the way back to the beginning of the play here. There we go. Rewind. There we go. Let's look at Gelotti right here, right side of your screen. Up the field, threatens with speed, and then dips around the corner, rips through, and beats him clean right there. You can see right there. He beat the left tackle. Now, the ball's gone pretty quickly, right? Now, the only guy who can get pressure in the situation is 95, who's freaking a monster. I mean, oh my goodness gracious. This is why he's an all-pro. This is why he's going to have a bust in camp one day. I mean, that's really good, obviously, from Jones. But Gelotti here, I like this. Threaten with speed, go around the corner, and then beat him right there. That's good enough. That's a win. Right? It doesn't look necessarily super pretty because, obviously, the ball's already gone. But this is what you want from an outside edge rush. Because, again, maintaining contain, right? He's not getting run too far upfield. He's not getting washed down inside. And he's beating the tackle. If the quarterback had to hold on to the ball a second longer and he tried to fade away from Jones, Gelotti would be there to hit the quarterback and bring him down in his own right. So this is, again, really nice rep here from Gelotti. Good speed, good athleticism, good pass rush. All right, for the wide copy, watch Gelotti at the top of your screen. Threat with speed, dip around right there. That's a win. Now, again, Chris Jones beats it so clean that, I mean, he gets there in a second and a half, right? But imagine Chris Jones isn't there, right? This play takes longer. Gelotti's right there. He's past the tackle to get a pressure on the quarterback. And this is what you get from edge rushers coming off the field with fresh legs sometimes. Just natural speed that they're able to burn these tackles around. Now, I'd like to see from Gelotti a little bit more speed to power sometimes, but it's just natural speed rush. Coming out of college was considered, solid but not spectacular, but it's starting to translate to the National Football League, and that's going to be huge for this Chiefs defense going forward. Are going with another pass rush, and there's Gelotti right there on the left side of your screen. This is a very weird play. So it's going to be a play-action pass. They're going to fake the running back dive here, and the quarterback's going to try and settle in the middle of the pocket just right there. But you can see the Chiefs, they've got Gelotti over here. He's an F5 technique lined up on the outside shoulder of the tackle. And they got a defensive tackle lined up right here in a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the guard. And it almost looks like a stunt. This guy right here, this 3 technique, he works this direction. And Gelotti actually works behind just like this. But it's not a clean stunt, and because it's not a pass rush, like a true pass rush situation like 3rd and 10 or anything like that, it looks kind of weird, but Gelotti does his part. He gets pressure on the quarterback, forces him to bail. This is what you need. If you're going to be a defensive end and run an inside stunt, you got to get there, force the quarterback outside the pocket. 97 does his job. Let's check it out. There's a snap. Play action. Gelotti comes around, forces the quarterback outside the pocket. He's able to hit his receiver for a nice little play. Gets upended. Right, one of the things when it comes to these stunts, I think it's a stunt by design, or Gelotti's just opportunistic, but I don't know, 99's working his way outside too, so I really feel like this was an actual stunt. But you need the outside guy, this guy coming around, he's got to be in the quarterback's face to help clean it up, and he's not there, which allows Jared Goff to hit the open man. That's what's missing right here. Now, to be fair, it gets to be a convoluted mess, right? Gelotti works his way around, fights through the trash, gets pressure on the quarterback, the tackle has to go through all this garbage here. I mean, it's just a weird play, weird blocking scheme. But this is a situation here from Gelotti that I want to see more of him in, right? Because he's got a good combination of size, speed, and athleticism where he can get penetration and force the quarterback in uncomfortable situations. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's not small. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's pretty quick. He doesn't have the craftiest moves in the world, but he finds a way to get through. He's one of these guys that can be versatile and do a lot of different things. I want to see more stunts with Ashton Gillotte going forward. I like the idea of having him stunt inside right here. There'll be sometimes the Chiefs line him up at nose nose tackle, defensive tackle in true passing situations, and I love it because I think he's big enough to get through and handle those guys like we see here, forcing the quarterback outside the pocket and having to hit number one.
Yeah, and again, Gelotti has had a good game so far this game, and I think we've seen some good things out of him. But I think early on, one thing I want to address is there's one thing he could improve on, and that's his pass rush game. We've seen glimpses of it in these clips already early on in the cut up, but he had a season high 65.1 pass rushing grade in week one, and he hasn't been able to replicate it since. He needs to get back on the boat, back on track, getting that pass rush game intact. He's done well other places on the field, but I think one thing he could really improve on is getting back to what he did in week one in the pass rush.
All right, let's go with some run defense now, and there's Gelotti right there at defensive end. He's lined up in a 5 technique on the outside shoulder of the right tackle there for the Detroit Lions, and it's going to be an inside zone concept working this direction right here, and it's going to get his zone double team on Gelotti right here, right guard coming over. They're looking to work up if needed. They're going to center try and base reach here. We're going to have backside scoop, backside cutoff techniques right there, and the running back, he's going to take this track and try and cut back wherever he can find a hole. And here where Gelotti, he's got really a 2-part job. He's got to make sure, number one, he sets the edge. He can't get reached. He can't let this guy get outside of him, running back get outside, because that's how you could get huge plays. But you also got to not get too much ground. You can't give up too much yardage here. Sometimes you're in your avoidance to get reach, you get completely washed outside, and the running back can cut back behind you pretty easily. So you need to set the edge here. Make sure you don't get moved, especially in a double team, and make sure the running back cuts back inside. Gelotti does his job pretty well. Karlaftis or this backside safety, one of them screws up. It results in a big win for the Lions offense, but not because of Gelotti. Let's check it out. There's a snap. There's the inside run. There's a cutback. Pretty big run right there for the Lions. That's not ideal. All right, let's look at what happens on the play side here. Let's look at Gelotti. There's a double team, holds its ground, sets the edge. Listen, 2 guys on you, like a big nose tackle, right? If you have 2 offensive linemen blocking you and they're getting no movement like that, you're doing your job. You're freeing up the linebackers, right? Who's on Bolton? Right, who's on, right? You have Chanel. He gets a backside guy on him, but you can see no one picks up Bolton right here. He can work over the top and be there to make the play if there wasn't this huge cutback lane. But here's the thing. Someone's got to be containing this. Someone's got to be the flow player. And you see the safety right here on the left. He stays wide, and you see Karlaftis. He stays wide too. This is a mental mistake by one of these guys. One of these guys, and I think it's Karlaftis, if I'm being honest, has to be crashing down inside. It could have been the safety. Both of them stay wide. The tight end basically blocks 2 guys because of it, and it results in a big play for the Lions. This is something I think will get cleaned up in the film room for Kansas City going forward. But Gelotti, again, it's dirty work. Doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but take on 2 blockers, hold your ground. Look, it's ugly football. It's nasty football. It's far from, fun, like you get you on highlights. Chris Collinsworth ain't saying good things about you after this play, right? He won't even notice you, but it's just doing your job, right? Physical player at the point of attack, and that's what I like about Gelotti. He can do a lot of different things. By the way, look at 92 right here. My goodness gracious. Oh boy, look at this Chiefs. On the play side, this is the thing that happens sometimes on these zone schemes, right? You can play it perfect on the play side, but if someone screws up on the backside, you get creased. It's just the way it works sometimes. But 92 with a good rep. Gelotti right here again, taking on 2 guys, holding his ground. Good job on the play side. Needs to be better played on the backside. All right, from the wide copy, you can see right there, cut back for a big run. Let's look at Gelotti here on the play side. You can see him doing a great job splitting the double team, setting the edge. Listen, good team defense. It's ugly. It's not perfect, right? Not going to get a lot of attention, but it's just doing your job right there. Look at this. No movement whatsoever. Where's the line of scrimmage, guys? Right around, the 32, 33-yard line right there for Detroit. Where's Gelotti end up? Right around the 32, 33-yard line of Detroit. Doesn't get reached either. Again, that's just good run defense, guys. That's winning football at the point of attack. Nice rep from 97. All right, this is one of my favorite plays I've seen Gelotti play in his entire career up to this point. You can see him lined up right there. He's lined up, I'm going to call it a 6 technique on the inside eye of that tight end right there, but here's where it gets interesting. They're going to send him in motion pre-snap right here. And normally in this structure, you'd expect Gelotti to be a pass rusher, going outside or doing a stunt or whatever, right? Normally, right? Standard defensive end stuff. Well, they actually have him drop into coverage, and he picks up a crosser and locks him down perfectly. I mean, you talk about versatility and playmaking ability. Gelotti's a special kind of weapon here, guys. Let's check it out. There's the motion. There's a snap. Goff has time. Fires it down the field. It's got him on Ross St. Brown for a decent little gain. Let's go back to the very beginning here. You guys notice Gelotti didn't go into the pass rush, right? Drops into coverage. Locks down Sam Laporta. That's Laporta, number 87. He's a darn good tight end, Pro Bowl tight end. And he's with them stride for stride. Again, you talk about an athlete. Talk about a guy that can play. I love a versatile skill set when I see one, and Gelotti's got it. And this is how you can confuse an defense, right? Confuse an offense, excuse me, right here. Because if you're Jared Goff, there's no way you're thinking they're going to leave their rookie defensive end one-on-one on my Pro Bowl tight end. But that's exactly what the Chiefs do. Normally, that would be such a matchup nightmare, a disaster waiting to happen. But Gelotti's good enough, a good enough player, good enough athlete to handle it here and handle it extremely well. And this makes the Chiefs so darn tough to play against when you have this level of versatility and playmaking ability across the board. Because right here, if this tackle is like, okay, I need to be one-on-one on a pass rush, and suddenly, okay, now I got to help down inside, and the Lions, they go off, are like, okay, I go to Laporta, but now a defensive end's covering him, but he's stride for stride, so he's not really open. I mean, it creates all kind of havoc, all kind of confusion. It breaks the rules and progression of how an offense normally works. This is what versatility does. Gelotti, very early in his career, has proven to be extremely valuable for the Chiefs up front.
One bonus here, I think, about Gelotti, especially a guy who's coming in spells to play for this team. He's not starting. He's a guy that has come in at times to relieve people, is he hasn't had many mental mistakes at all. He's actually had 0 penalties on the season so far. When guys come in, switch in, that is a prime opportunity for someone to make a mistake. Not for 97. He's done a great job, played clean games when he came in. 0 penalties for him on the season.
All right, quick break in the film review. Look, I was taught to break down film by my college coaches at the Division I level. All the players are. It's just a fact of playing football at that level. And I want to take this opportunity to give you guys, the average fan, more opportunities to get that insider knowledge of how the game is taught at that highest level of college football. I created a checklist, a step-by-step guide for you guys, 100% free. That's based on how I was taught to break down film by my coaches, and then I use today to create these film reviews. There's a link in the description box below that'll take you right to it. I really appreciate it if you guys decide to get it. Again, 100% free, just trying to share information to you guys, stuff that was taught to me by my coaches. But without further ado, let's get back into the film. All right, let's go back to the pass rush, and there's Gelotti right there, lined up in what I'm going to call a 2-eye technique on the inside eye of the guard. Again, it's a pass rush situation, but Gelotti, versatile, they line him up inside, and what he's going to do here, he's going to slant inside and take this gap, and he's going to get pressure right in Goff's face. Now, it's a quick throw, right? We're going to have the tight end in motion. He's going to leak out in the flat, and this is a situation. Sometimes, again, if you're a pass rusher, if your coverage doesn't hold up long enough for you to get there, there's nothing you can do. It's your job just to get pressure on the quarterback the best you can. But Gelotti, again, great job. He's a versatile guy. We've seen him get pressure coming from this direction. We've seen him line up over here and drop into coverage. Now he lines up over the guard right here and rushes through the A gap to get pressure on the quarterback. Again, the theme of the day, versatile guy, key part of this defense. Let's check it out. There's the motion. There's a snap. Gelotti rushes. Pressure right in the quarterback's face. Fortunately, the tight end's wide open for a big play. Not great by the linebacker secondary, whoever had the lapse there. But again, this is Gelotti's versatility, right? He uses his quickness inside when it's time to be an interior pass rusher. We've seen him use his speed on the outside for effectiveness. We've seen him use his athleticism to cover tight ends. We've seen him use his physicality in the run game at the point of attack when he's lined up in between the right tackle and the guard. Again, he's a guy that can line up anywhere and do anything. And it's such an underrated part of his game. I know people like to look at defensive players in terms of their splash plays, their sacks, their tackles for loss, forced fumbles, interceptions, and that's really important. But that's for your superstars, right? You look at Chris Jones. Hey, man, you got to get a lot of sacks. Or, I'm sorry, there's Chris Jones. That's Karlaftis. Hey, Karlaftis. Hey, Chris Jones. Got to get a lot of sacks, tackles for loss, right? That's what you get paid the big bucks to do. But for these young guys, you just be a key part of this team. Be versatile. Be a playmaker. That's exactly what Gelotti is. Again, I love his athleticism. I love his speed. Doesn't do anything cute, right? He's not one of these young guys that tries to do any fancy move, any spin move, or any crazy arm over or swim kind of technique. He's like, listen, I'm just going to use my athleticism, and I'm just going to get through and get pressure on the quarterback. Nice play. All right, for the wide copy, you see Gelotti lined up inside. He beats the guard inside. Pressure on the quarterback. That's what it's all about. You can see Goff right there. He has no chance to throw the football deep down the field. No, he hits an open tight end for a very nice play. I think, about 15-yard play. So it's a win for the Lions offense, a loss for the Chiefs defense. But here's the thing, and this is why the Kansas City Chiefs can be so good, and we saw this in their victory against Detroit, is they make you earn it, right? Jared Goff, he doesn't have time to sit in the pocket and take a deep shot down the field, right? He has to actually read the defense correctly and make a good on-time throw. And the Chiefs bet that over a long enough time horizon, eventually either A, the pass rush will get there, B, your receivers, tight ends won't get open. C, you won't call a good play, so there's no chance they'll get open. Or D, your quarterback will make a mistake. And usually one, or if not, in some cases, all four of those things happen multiple times over the course of a long game, and the Chiefs then capitalize and they beat you. right? This is what they do. It's the little thing, snap in and snap out, and Gelotti fits in perfectly to that mindset. You can see right there, lined up as a defensive tackle. Just straight speed, nothing special. Little rip move inside, nothing crazy. Just use your athleticism, force the quarterback to get rid of the ball quickly. Works out well here for Detroit, but in the long term, it's very good for Kansas City. All right, this next play is something Gelotti needs to work on, and there he is right there, line up in a, we'll call it a 5 technique, or I guess you can call it a 6 technique, depending or not this, if you call this H-back on the line of scrimmage or not. I'll call it a 6 technique just to, try and be consistent. And it's just going to be a one-on-one pass rush here at the tackle right here, Sewell with a little chip block there from right, the H-back. And right here, Gelotti makes a mistake. Instead of turning the corner effectively, he goes too wide. He gets ran around the hump right here. This is something you can't do as a defensive end. The temptation is always, if you're going to try and beat him with speed, eventually you'll get there. But if you get washed up the field, you give the quarterback a chance to not just step up, but potentially escape as well. He's got to clean this up. Let's check it out. There's a snap. All kinds of time. All kinds of time. Finds his tight end for a big play down the field. All right, let's look at Gelotti again, defensive end on the left side of your screen. Outside move, that's okay right there, but he gets ran upfield. So he gets ran around the hump right there. The quarterback can now step up. He has all day to throw, and guess what? If Goff wanted to, he could then step up and escape to his right. He has all kinds of time. You can look at Karlaftis falls into a similar trap over here right now. He spins back inside. He at least has the right counter move, the right idea. Ends up getting a hit on the quarterback. That's what Gelotti needs to do right here. He's too far upfield. All right, put the brakes on, spin around, try and retrace your steps. But he keeps running the hump. This is something I think with more reps, more experience, he'll clean up. And this is a little bit of the quandary the Chiefs find themselves in. Guys like Gelotti, they need more reps. They need more experience. Not getting a lot of snaps. I think only 17 total against the Lions. I think if he gets more snaps, he'll become, much more comfortable in these situations. But if you play a rookie, if you play a defender with the Chiefs championship aspirations, you're going to get some mistakes. So it's a tough situation the Chiefs are in. I think eventually Gelotti will figure it out. It helps to have guys like Karlaftis and Jones on the team. You can learn from them. I think he's got the talent, but right here, he's just got to avoid the temptation to run around the hoop.
One thing I want to end on is what he's done really well, not really pertaining to this play, but in this game, in this season so far in general. This was his best run defense game of the season. It was his season high grade, and it was up 9 points from last week's game. So doing a great job in run defense in this game. We've seen him get his season high numbers in this game. So I think he's improving, learning, and getting better at the run defense game.
All right, let's end on a little compare and contrast. And there's Ashton Gillotte right there. Line up in a 4-eye technique on the inside eye of the right tackle there. And you can see the Detroit Lions, they got a lot of guys over here, and the Chiefs got a lot of guys over there to match. And you look over here on the right side, you've got 1-2 blockers for 1-2 defenders, right? The numbers are there for the Lions, and that's exactly where they're going to run with an inside zone concept right at that situation. So Gelotti, he's got a 2-part task right here. Number 1, he can't get blown off a football. Number 2, he can't get reached. He's got to set the edge and hold his ground to force the running back to cut back inside. The rookie does his job and does it well. We'll show what he does and break it down. Then we'll go into what another Chiefs defender did in the exact same situation and kind of compare it to Gelotti. Let's check it out. There's a snap. There's the inside zone track. 5 cuts back. Really nice run there for the Lions. Right, let's go back, though, and look at Gelotti on the play side. Does he do his part, right? Slants inside, doesn't get reached by the guard, holds his ground, takes on 2 blockers, doesn't get moved. Not bad, right? A little bit of horizontal movement right there. But again, he's trying to make sure he forces number 5 back to the cavalry. Because if you look at this defensive lineup right here, Gelotti and right there, Tranquil, number 23, their job is essentially to force this running back to go back to all these other guys. You see all these Kansas City Chiefs over here on the left, right? They're trying to get 5 for Detroit to go back to those guys. Now, they force them back, and none of them make the play, which is disappointing, but that's your job right there. You can't get blown off the football. Gelotti doesn't. Takes on 2 blockers as well. It's always important to take on 2 guys. He does a great job of doing that in the run game. Again, it's one of those things. He's like a defensive tackle playing defensive end in that regard, which is very valuable. But he does his part right there, forces the running back to cut back. The cavalry isn't there, but he does his part and does it well. Again, not perfect from Gelotti, but I like his technique, good hand placement, stays square to the line of scrimmage. Fundamentally sound football player, an underrated part of his game, striking the guard, holding his ground. Nice play from Gelotti. Again, his help isn't there, but a good play from the rookie. All right, now let's look how who's at 51 does. Very similar situation. You can see a bunch of guys over here. Lions heavy to the left. The Chiefs have a lot of their guys are there on the left. Let's watch what happens, right? There's a snap. They gets reached and then pancaked. That's the difference, right? Now, just kind of a twist of irony, it's actually a less successful play as the previous play, but this can't happen. You can see this defensive lineman there at 51 gets reached right there. That's a disaster, and then gets humiliated with a pancake. That doesn't work, and that's a difference right there between Gelotti and other Chiefs defenders. Look, it's not perfect from Gelotti, but you can see he's better than a lot of other guys. So I'm trying to pick on number 51 here. I'm just talking facts, just talking what the film is saying. Gelotti at the point of attack as a run defender, a lot better than the average defender. We're seeing in the pass rush game, slowly but surely coming along. I think he's got a bright future. He's a versatile player. He can even play in coverage like we showed. He's sort of a Swiss Army knife for Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense to use, and I think down the stretch he'll become a key part of this Kansas City front.